She's a yoga instructor, a mental health counselor, and crisis responder for Kitsap County. And I met her years ago working up at Alpental. Welcome to the show, Andrea Baker. Have you been up at all this season
One
yet,
time.
or one
Yeah, I
time?
went on Saturday with Adam and we went to Hayak and it was deep and so much fun.
Oh man.
And it was the kind of snow that like if you let off that back leg, you were
Yeah,
going down. And there was a couple times where
that's
I
fun.
was cruising and just got a little tired and was like, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I forgot. But that was like
You just buried the nose. How do you feel that yoga affects your riding?
the movement from just strengthening these very specific large muscle groups to the smaller micro areas that don't really get attention in our typical workouts, and my balance and strength and comfort is so much stronger. The other part is I think I have so much more control over my nervous system, so being able to
Gotcha.
stay calm, regulate my breathing, but the balance side of things, like I was surprised at how strong I felt going out for day one. And I was like, yeah, this is definitely because I'm doing these very fine muscle movements and holding postures and breathing through them. And I didn't tucker out like I would have every year prior.
More time on the board. That's awesome. Do you feel like starting your day with yoga helps you?
I get up at 4 a.m. and I usually have some coffee and meditate. Not for a really long time, 15 minutes, 20 minutes maybe. And then I usually head out to yoga or some sort of, workout class. Sometimes I go do spin or swim. And I notice I get really scratchy if I don't do those things. Hitting the snooze button is like the worst thing you could ever do. Once you wake up, if you go back to sleep, your body isn't like, oh, I'm just going to kind of nap. It resets your whole sleep cycle, which is
Oh,
why you feel drowsy and groggy. So snooze is like a bad thing. Just get rid of it. Try to find sacred space, whether it's 10 minutes just sipping your coffee and being just with you, or even just spending quality time with the family.
how do people join your class, and where do they find you, and when is it?
So I've been lucky enough to teach at Sukasa Yoga in Clallam. I feel super fortunate to be working with the caliber of people that are there. There's some incredible yoga instructors that have been teaching for a really long time. I get the Monday morning at 6 a.m. slot, and I really try to make my class all about kind of greeting the week. So it's not extraordinarily rigorous. It's much more about kind of coming out of the weekend and getting ready for the week. I started teaching actually at my agency that I work for, where I provide mental health treatment. I did like a 9-week beginner yoga to our clients, and it was so awesome teaching people that have never been on the mat before.
Yeah.
That's, I think, kind of where my passion lies. Like, I really
Okay.
enjoy getting people into connecting with their body, connecting with their spirit, and moving. So much of what we struggle with in our modern society is that we look at the mind and the body as being these separate entities, and they're not. They're intimately connected. And so through yoga, we get to bring those two things communicating better together.
Is that something that you want to continue?
100%. It's the sole reason that I actually started working on my training. I love doing cognitive work and working with people's thinking styles. However, we really know that a lot of change with how we feel is based on our behavior.
Hmm.
So we miss the mark a lot of the times when we're just talking about, well, think about something differently. How about let's do something differently? And once again, I work with usually people that have PTSD, lots of trauma, that kind of thing. So their
Gotcha.
disconnect between their mind and their body is pretty significant. So the movement and yoga's asanas and postures, breathing, the connection between the mind and the body, it is really profound. The research is kind of unbelievable at its capacity to heal trauma.
I
Because
believe
trauma
it.
really is a nervous system disorder, and yoga is all about that. So I try to incorporate as much kind of meditation and sound and movement and stillness into my classes to get all the benefits. I've actually treated someone and done yoga with them at the same time, and I was really like kind of taken aback with how the yoga, I think, really helped them.
Yeah, I mean, you're able to see it firsthand.
They said it helped them too, so there's some science.
What do you feel the importance of, say, the heart to the crown chakras are, as opposed to?
Honestly, Drew, I've never thought about separating them. And if there is energy that's not flowing properly in any one of them, you're going to end up with imbalances. The lower chakras are often associated with grounding, feeling connected and stable and calm, whereas the higher chakras tend to be, I think, more associated with higher order functioning, as communicating, thinking, connecting with others. I don't think any one of them is more important than the other. And quite frankly, I think probably with a lot of my clients, the lower chakras are really where I'm spending a lot of my time. They're very, very unbalanced. We're all going to, based on the different things that are happening in our lives, have different areas that are needing our attention.
What are a few warning signs or patterns?
So, when it comes to needing some additional support, I would say hearing your friends talking like they're hopeless or they just don't know what to do, that life doesn't make sense anymore, that sort of just like, I can't even put two and two together. I would definitely be saying, hey, why don't you talk to a professional, to help you iron these things out? What I think about too is your friends functioning worse than it normally is? Are they not making it to work? Are they not hanging out anymore? Are they overusing substances? Are they avoiding your phone calls? Those sorts of things let me know that someone's having a rough time, and I'm going to do what I can to, reach out to them and show up. When it comes to suicide, the things I look for are obviously hopelessness, again, talk of death or dying or giving up, drastic changes in behavior. So if they normally are, well put together and they're showing up super disheveled, or the opposite. If they typically could care less about their appearance and all of a sudden they're for no reason all put together, oftentimes we're like, oh, they've got that figured out. And that might actually mean they've gotten something else figured out, and
Right.
it's not how to live, it's how to die. And there's a sense of relief that comes with that. Obviously, any talk of suicide, I tell everyone, you do not handle that yourself. You hand that off to a professional. Find your local county's crisis line and talk to a person. And they can either guide you on the next steps or they'll send someone out to talk to the person. And that's what I do when I'm on call is I'll go meet with someone who a friend called in and they were really worried about, and I'll go talk to them. And it doesn't always end up being a bad thing. Sometimes it's just a matter of making sure they're safe for the night, and then we work on getting them counseling. Rarely, but sometimes it does mean going to more drastic measures to ensure they're safe. And I will be very honest, that is not the common outcome.
Okay.
I think a lot of people are afraid that's what's going to happen, but we go to the ends of the earth to keep people from psychiatric facilities. I'd rather keep somebody outpatient and talk to them every day for the next week and teach them skills than the alternative.
Get them doing breathing exercises.
You got it. Day one. It's like the number one skill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Belly breathing.
Do you have any advice for parents?
Let's talk about what we can do.
Okay.
I think the most important thing that parents can do is honor that their children are unique. As long as they're following some of the basic fundamental rules of the house, let's let kids be themselves. Kids are so authentic when they come out of the womb. And then we tell them they need to be different, and it's very confusing for them. So the word that comes to mind for me is validation. Recognize the validity in their experience. So if they're saying, I am heartbroken, don't tell them they're not. Say, sounds like you're heartbroken. How can I help you? If they say, you're being mean to me, you can say, you sound upset. How can I help you? So Validation is about recognizing the inherent truth in an individual's existence and not denying their truth. And you also don't need to validate the invalid. So you don't have to say, yeah, you're right, I was being mean. You can just say, it appears that you're very upset about what I said. And there's something about that. It's recognizing their experience that I think is amazing.
Thank you for coming on this show with me.
Absolutely. Thank
That's awesome.
you.
Please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell so you know when we put new videos out. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Brain Aqua. This has been AquaBrainTV. Remember to keep your head up and keep those knees bent.